LEGO is finally going to make it. So what's up, LEGO fans? It's Legonimus. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything that's happening with LEGO and One Piece, the most recent leaks, and why this collaboration could change LEGO completely. One of the strongest rumors suggests that the first sets will be based on the East Blue Saga, where it all begins for the Straw Hats. And it makes sense, because in the East Blue, we don't just meet Luffy, but the heart of the crew is formed. And if LEGO wants to capture the essence of One Piece, it has to start there. Now, let's imagine together. We could have a set of the Going Merry, the crew's first ship, recreated brick by brick. It wouldn't be a simple ship. LEGO could design it with removable compartments, internal details like the Ram's headmast, crew quarters, and even accessories like Sanji's kitchen or Nami's navigation room. And, of course, minifigures of Luffy, Zoro, and Nami with interchangeable accessories like swords, maps, and pieces of meat. Because what would Luffy be without his food? Then there's the Baratie, the famous floating tavern. This set could be a true gem of modular construction, divided into different sections. The kitchen, the main hall where Zoro and Mihawk have their epic duel, and the outer deck where Luffy fights Don Krieg. LEGO could even include a function to recreate Sanji's iconic kick that sends pirates overboard. Another iconic location would be Arlong Park, an aquatic base surrounded by a huge aquarium full of sharks. Here, LEGO would have the opportunity to showcase all its technical mastery with translucent pieces, simulated water with transparent bricks, and a combat system between Nami and Arlong that fans could recreate. And for those already dreaming big, imagine 1000 Sunny in a LEGO Ultimate Collector Series version. A gigantic set with details like the Gaon Cannon, the Soldier Dock system, and all the small auxiliary boats hidden inside the Sunny. It could even include automatic mechanisms to deploy the Shark Submerged 3 mini-submarine or Frankie's Waver. But beyond boats and buildings, there is the enormous potential of minifigures. Imagine Luffy with his giant grin, Zoro with his 3 swords, Nami with her claim attack, Usopp with his slingshot, Sanji kicking in the air. And later on, we might see even more iconic figures like Robin, Chopper, Frankie, or Brook. Each character has a unique design that can be incredibly expressive in LEGO format. Now let's go a step further. Why is this collaboration so important, even for LEGO as a brand? First, because One Piece is a franchise of gigantic global weight. We're not just talking about anime or manga. We're talking about a saga that has sold more than 500 million copies, surpassing even Western classics like Harry Potter or Batman comics. Entering the world of One Piece not only opens the door to a new generation of young fans, but also to a nostalgic adult audience that grew up with Luffy's adventures. Second, because anime and Japanese culture are at their peak of popularity globally, especially on platforms like Netflix, TikTok, and YouTube. In fact, in the United States and Europe, interest in anime has grown 118% in the last 5 years. And One Piece is, without a doubt, one of the greatest ambassadors of that culture. Connecting LEGO to this cultural movement means ensuring relevance for many years to come. Third, because LEGO has proven it knows how to leverage successful partnerships. Just look at Star Wars. Over 900 sets, video games, animated films, and a massive community. Star Wars didn't just sell sets, it helped define LEGO as a brand that doesn't just make toys, but creates entire universes. Now imagine repeating that story, but in a world full of pirates, devil fruits, and epic adventures. And be careful, because according to official statements, LEGO and Netflix's goal isn't just to release individual sets. They want to allow us to recreate our own epic adventures brick by brick. That could mean sets that connect to each other, like modules on a giant map of the East Blue, or even sets designed to combine to form even larger and more detailed scenes. It would be an evolution in how we interact with our LEGOs. Furthermore, if this collaboration takes off, it wouldn't be surprising if LEGO were encouraged to expand the universe even further. Can you imagine sets from Alabasta with Crocodile and Vivi, from Enies Lobby with the spectacular Bridge of Justice, or even from Marineford, recreating the most epic battle in the entire saga? Not to mention that One Piece is full of unique islands, extravagant settings, absurd ships, and magical creatures that literally seem designed to be made of LEGO. So it's no exaggeration to say that this collaboration could change LEGO not only in terms of sales, but also in how it thinks about its future partnerships. Fewer traditional licenses and more exciting adventures based on epic storytelling. And now I ask you, which set would be your dream? Which crew member would you like to set sail with first? Would you build the Going Merry, the Baratie, or would you rather dream big with a gigantic Marineford? Leave it in the comments. I want to hear from you. Now, many of you may be wondering, how likely is it that LEGO will invest heavily in more One Piece content in the long term? Well, this is where it gets even more interesting. LEGO doesn't just look at set sales. It analyzes the cultural impact, social conversation, and lifetime value of a franchise. What does that mean? They want to know if One Piece will still be relevant in 5, 10, or 15 years. And looking at current trends, it's clear that One Piece is just beginning its biggest global expansion yet, thanks to Netflix. When LEGO signed its partnership with Star Wars in 1999, it was a risk, a new film, a different generation. That gamble created one of the most successful lines in its history. And One Piece, with a renewed live-action series, millions of new fans discovering the story, and an animated film on the way, is in a very similar position today. Furthermore, if we analyze how the most successful LEGO collections work, they all have one thing in common: narrative depth. And few stories in the world have the narrative depth of One Piece. We're talking more than 1,000 anime episodes, 1,000 manga chapters, hundreds of charismatic characters, dozens of unique islands, and adventures that constantly transform and evolve. Each island, each arc, is like a new opportunity to create a LEGO set that's not only beautiful to build, but also exciting to experience. Think of collectible sets that evolve along with the story. Can you imagine being able to build the Alabasta Saga, island by island, set by set, following Luffy and Vivi's journey? Or LEGO launching giant sets like Marineford with a massive naval base, hundreds of minifigures, and a modular system to recreate epic battles between pirates and Marines? And let's not forget a key point: emotional connection. Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, all of these franchises connect emotionally with fans, and that's what generates sustained long-term sales. One Piece has spent over 2 decades cultivating that connection with its audience, growing alongside them. A fan who read One Piece at 15 is now 30, and probably wants to build the Going Merry or the Thousand Sunny with their own children. In other words, LEGO X One Piece isn't a passing fad. It could be the start of a historic collection that will last generations of builders. And now, for the true fans who've stuck around this far, I want to throw out an idea that could be a real game changer. LEGO X One Piece sets could include exclusive limited edition figures. As LEGO has already done with Star Wars and Harry Potter editions, they could release alternate versions of characters like Luffy in Gear 2nd, Zoro with his post-time skip scars, or Nami and her different looks from each saga. This would not only incentivize collecting, but also create a new market for high-demand LEGO figures. And if we add to that the fact that LEGO could introduce special mechanisms such as functional devil fruits into the sets, for example, a special rubber piece representing Luffy's Gomu Gomu no Emi, the level of immersion could be incredible. We're talking about sets that not only look good, but also tell a story, allow for battle recreation, and evolve with the fans' collection. So yes, we're looking at something that could change everything. Not just for LEGO fans, not just for One Piece fans, but for the world of collectors and storytellers in general. And if LEGO plays it right, we could be seeing the birth of its next legendary line, capable of lasting for decades. But now that you know everything about the LEGO and One Piece collaboration, I have an even bigger question. What if LEGO is also planning an epic collaboration with Pokémon? If you don't want to miss it, click on the video on the screen or visit the description. I'll see you there. See you later.